Hello, Skika Uncover listeners. Today's episode covers the Westgate terrorist attack, a topic that might be emotionally challenging for some of us. We want you to be aware and take care of yourselves. Welcome to Skika Uncover. This is a podcast where we are going to be speaking to African artists and learning from their stories. Our aim is to uncover the truths and the lies behind building an entire livelihood and impacting the lives of others through their art. I'm so excited because the guest that we have here with us today is basically his goals, okay? You don't worry, his goals for me. If you don't relate, it's all right. But the person that I'm going to be speaking to is Mugambi Nthiga. He is an actor, a writer, a director, an award-winning writer, an award-winning director, an award-winning, all those wonderful things. But he is also a comedian and just an all-round, really kind and sweet soul. Welcome to...
Oh, thank you.
Skika Uncover.
Hey, I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I was traveling up until yesterday.
Yeah.
I haven't had my caffeine fixed for today.
Okay,
so
it's on the way. It's on the way.
What
We are
you're going
sorry.
to get will be authentic.
But you slept.
I did. Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. It won't be too crazy.
No, not at all.
So happy to have you on the show.
Thank you for having
me. And I've
me.
been wanting to talk to you for so long, and I think this is the perfect time. I got you on a podcast, the microphone is in front, you can't run away anywhere.
Okay.
No,
this is nice. I really like the set.
Yeah.
I like the setup. Shout
So
out to Tasha for doing this.
If
This
you're
is cool.
listening and maybe you're not watching us, just go on the YouTubes and then
Yeah.
you can see what he's talking about.
We look nice. The brief said, please don't dress in colors that are too warm because you'll blend into the background. I kind of forgot.
It's okay.
So
You did all right though. It's not, no, it's all right.
I could have had something that's
Blue,
closer to
purple,
that shade.
purple.
Yeah, but it's fine.
Don't worry.
It's all right.
We'll do it again. How about that?
Oh, there are more episodes of this?
Yes, we'll do it again. There'll be season 2. There'll be, we'll just know when we call you sasa ni lazima. Umesema that tutarudi.
Yes, for sure. I'll come back.
Very happy to have you here. And we are so excited to explore artist stories. You've been in the game for quite some time. But I want to start with the origins. And I read that your first encounter with the stage, you were as young as 5 years old.
Yes, I was.
And you were a little drummer boy?
Oh, wow. Yes, I was. That was my very first role, yes.
What do you remember about like the stage at that age?
I remember everything.
Yeah?
Yeah. I've been blessed with something of a good memory when it comes to matters that are very monumental.
In your life.
Yes.
Nice.
And age 5 was that. I went to a Catholic primary school.
Okay.
And they would do a nativity at the end of it was affiliated to a church.
Yes. So as you would every December.
Yes. You do the nativity and they would cast Joseph, Mary. And
yes.
So at age 5, I was too old to be a baby.
Right.
But too young to be a lead.
Yes. Although I'm sure you auditioned for Joseph. You're like, guys?
I did not.
Okay.
I knew nothing. I actually ended up on that stage by the good graces of the headmistress of the school, who was a nun.
Okay.
An Italian nun called Sister Emily Elmi.
Oh, shout out to you, sister.
And I really wish I'd meet her now. I don't know if she's still alive or around. My mom randomly told me about 10 years ago she saw her in a supermarket.
No.
And I wished I was there.
Yeah.
To tell her thank you.
Oh my gosh.
I don't think she'll ever know if she was ever to see anything like this. Sister Emily Elmi. She was a seamstress.
Okay.
And she was making the costumes for the kids.
Yeah.
So the kid would be playing Joseph.
Yes.
The guys would be playing the shepherds.
Yes.
And the kids would be picked up from school early because, they were picked up by car. But my mom would have to get onto a matatu
to come
pick me
get
up.
you.
And so naturally her journey would take a bit longer.
Yes.
And I would stay around a little bit longer than the other kids.
Right.
If my dad was coming to pick me up, he'd come from work. But that would mean he'd be coming after 5 when school would be ending at like 3.
Oh, yeah. So you're like in the office or even in the house?
There was a sitting area where the kids would sit.
Okay.
And then parent would rock up and then pick you and you'd go.
Mm-hmm.
So she noticed this kid was always being left behind.
Yeah.
And so she found that I could be a good mannequin. So I would stand there.
This was the initial plan.
She'd put the clothing on me and check
know where to pin.
Yeah, because Joseph has already gone home.
Right.
Mary has already gone home. The shepherds have gone home. So I was the person that she'd measure the clothing on, and she'd make adjustments. And I think she noticed I'd get really excited by this dress-up game.
Oh, right.
Because, she'd check, and turn around and check, how does this look on the side? Da-da-da. And then I would see I'm dressed up in these cool clothes.
This is awesome.
It was very, very cool. I really enjoyed it. So she said, Mugambi, because you have been really good supporting the costume department, which was all her.
Right.
I'll give you a role.
Oh.
And I was given the role of the little drummer boy. And all I had to do was carry a drum in when they were singing the little drummer boy song.
Yes.
And all I had to do was beat the drum.
Yeah.
In rhythm. And the best part of it was there was no costume for me. All the costume budget ran out. So I had to go home and ask my mom for a lesso.
I need a something.
A thing, yeah.
Also,
so I wore a lesso, that thing.
Yes.
On top of my uniform. And because mom had time on that day, she went home and picked up my sister who was 2.
Oh.
And they came and watched me. And I came up on stage and I put the drum down and I started beating the drum. And there was a teacher. She thought I was like a notorious little child who was very slow. And I was a little bit by the standard of then slow. I was just in my head a lot. And so, sometimes I'd drift off and she was
daydreaming. I used to get in trouble in class for daydreaming all the time.
Yeah. Same thing for me.
Yeah.
And I'd be thinking about things that now, when you think about it as an adult, are really profound things.
Very complex.
Very complex things.
We were ahead of our time.
We really were. We were just in the wrong places.
Yes.
So fortunately now I was in a school that kind of fostered the creativity in this way.
Oh, nice.
And the teacher, I think her name was Teacher Lucy. No, it wasn't Teacher Lucy, it was someone else. She sat opposite and she'd do this. She was so afraid I'd lose rhythm.
So she's like, just follow me.
Everything. So she'd be like,
eyes here.
because you can't make my class look bad. You're the only
Yes.
representative in this thing from my class, because I was in that awkward in-between
So
place.
much pressure.
Yeah, so she was like, you're not going to mess this one up for me, man. So I did it and I'd be watching. But then my sister was losing her mind.
Oh my
She
God,
was so
it's my
excited.
brother.
Yeah, she was like, I know that dude.
Yes.
I see him at home every day.
What is he doing?
And now he's up there doing a thing with other kids. She was so excited. And then my mom had carried a camera,
Oh, nice.
a Minolta camera that was a gift from her dad.
Oh.
And it was like a film camera that you had to manually focus. So she had to control this 2-year-old.
While trying to get
a picture.
pics, even just one.
Yes. And then I'm trying to, be in character and I can hear my sister there, but I have to watch the teacher. And it's like, that was my first performance ever.
I was going to ask you what was your feeling on stage, but
Yes,
I'm feeling stressed.
That's exactly where I'm going now. Yeah. It felt so good. It felt so good because, your sister who you've lived with her entire life is going crazy. And it feels so nice to make her feel so happy.
Right. Not stressful?
It was stressful.
Okay.
It was stressful. The teacher over there was like giving me that look of, and nalikuwa mkali sana, eh? She was
so
very
you knew
nice.
even after, if you mess up, there's consequences.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. She was very invested, but in a nice way. Like I'll say this: it felt so good to be part of something so meaningful.
Yeah.
Being in front of an audience, like you're here,
yes,
and you're doing your thing, and there's people watching you, and
right.
they've come to watch you.
Yeah.
And you were in a church, in a Catholic church.
Yeah.
And it was the acoustics were. You're always in the seats, but now I'm on the stage where the priest stands. It's like,
a big deal.
This is nice.
I made it, guys.
And then my sister is going crazy, and then my mom is. So my sister sees me and goes crazy, and she's trying to come up on the stage, and my mom has this Minolta camera, and she's trying to take a picture, she's trying to get focus. God bless my mom. Some of the pictures are off. Some of them I'm cut out of.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because she had to find the correct framing. And if my sister moves, the framing is off and the picture gets taken. So there's actually some pictures of it where I'm not in them. But then as a little boy, and there's something to be said about how little boys are raised. You're always raised to dim. dim it.
You're doing too much.
Yes.
Relax.
Girls are taught to shine.
That's so
Show up
true.
and, show through.
Yes.
And it shows up in how we show up as men.
Oh my God, yes.
Because it's always down, too much. And of course, I was...
Men are supposed to be calm, cool, and relaxed at all times.
You're supposed to be all stoic and you can't express yourself. But you're taught those lessons from when you're a boy.
Yeah, because when you're small, you laugh loudly and you cry and then you're told...
Yes, or you run and act out and do things and experiment and jump from things and you know. And when boys come together, it's even more ruckus and it's crazy.
I grew up with brothers, a madness.
There you go. So for the first time, you're not being told that. In fact, you're being told, show out more, louder. Keep the rhythm, beat that drum harder. And I was like, this feels good.
Okay.
For a little boy to be told to beat their drum harder. That was my first performance. That's why I keep bringing it up, because it was very, very, very meaningful.
Yeah.
Even to this day. My mom still remembers it. My sister, of course, doesn't, because she was 2.
But I'm sure she hears the story being retold.
She hears the story being retold many times, in different contexts. So that for me was very special. I picked up the drum and left. And it remained on the pictures, and I went and joined my mom and my sister afterwards, and I was a normal kid again.
Yeah.
But I'd had a very magical moment on that stage.
Nice. And I'm so grateful again to, you said Sister Emily? Or Elmi.
Sister Emily
Elmi. Yeah. We would not have Mugambi if it was not for you. So shout out, man. Wherever you are.
Wherever you are. I really hope she's still alive. I think she's now... If she is, she must be like in her 60s or 70s now, and she's living out.
It would be amazing to try find her.
An Italian. She was Italian.
We should use social media. You would be surprised, actually. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's look for her.
Yeah.
Let's look for her. Guys, you'll be listening to this. We'll give you an update if we haven't found her.
You know what? I'll even post the pictures because I have access to them.
Yes, exactly. And then maybe somebody in class or a parent of somebody who was in your class might know where she is.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful.
I love it. We have a project after this episode. And so Mugambi's back in class, daydreaming away, probably now about being on the stage all the time.
Yeah.
What was high school like? Because I know you eventually made your way to America. But I want to know that journey through education.
Okay, so I'll say this before I go into high school. Another meaningful performance, because it was improvised, happened in church. And that's when, so I discovered the power of performance. Then I discovered the power of improv at age 9. 9, 10. Somewhere between 9, 10 and 11. Somewhere there, I forget.
So BYSS was late. You'd been out here.
I'm sure if you spoke to all the members of BYSS, all of them would have a similar story.
Okay, that makes sense, actually.
As a young person, they improvised something.
Right.
And saw the result of it and were like, oh, that's cool. That's all cool. Because I think we're all just natural improvisers in life.
Yes.
Well. So for me, it was in church. It was Lavington United Church, which is attended by a lot of people of my ethnic group, the Meru. So church felt a lot like... a convening of many people who knew each other. It felt like a family reunion every Sunday. It was cool. And they had a special Sunday where they would combine Sunday school and the older people. Sunday school, you'd usually go off to Sunday school, but they had a special Sunday
where we're all together,
where everyone was together. And because they had to free up the seats for the grown-ups, because for one, the grown-ups need to sit down, and 2, they give more offering. We give like 1 bob. They need the premium seats. The kids would now be taken to the front, and we'd sit in the front. On the floor. Yeah, and the service would happen. So the priest, the pastor, was very interactive, very hilarious guy. And I don't know his name, but I'm really grateful for this guy as well. He would ask questions about the stories he was telling, and he'd give cash prizes to the kids. I kid you not. He'd give cash prizes on the spot.
No way. So I asked you this about job, You get the right answer.
Get 1 bob.
100 bob. Oh, here's 1 bob.
It was 1 bob. This is the late 80s.
Child,
this is the late 80s, early 90s.
Because that's 2 ball gums. What are you saying? I would be in it to win it.
I think back then it was probably 5.
5 ball gums?
5 ball gums.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's a child's dream.
I think it was 5 ball gums, yeah.
And
Yeah.
then that one you
So,
don't give to mom to keep
it
for
was-
you. You run straight to the kiosk
that one
yourself.
you become the custodian for it. But now, unfortunately, they were in the audience.
Right in front of them.
Right there. So anyway, pastor is asking questions, giving one bob. So anytime a kid got something correct, he'd say 1 shilling, and the parents would laugh, and he'd give them a shilling. He had the shillings there in front of him.
That's amazing.
So he was telling the story of Esau, and Jacob,
However you say it.
however you want to say it. And the story of Esau and Jacob, we know one brother was like to stay at home. He was the homebody.
Yeah.
The other one liked to be out hunting.
Yes.
And the guy who was hunting comes back and he is on the verge of starvation and he just wants a meal and water. And the younger brother, who's the homebody, says, listen, dude, you want this? Give me your birthright.
Yeah.
Which is a big deal. It's like
A huge
pretty much
deal.
make me the firstborn.
Yes.
Let us switch places.
Also,
Really
just
crafty,
because
dude.
me, I went outside. Anyway. It's all good. We'll do sibling wounds another day.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah, I can. So the house nigga. No, I'm kidding. so the homebody. The homebody tells the field nigga, the guy who likes to be outside, yo, listen, give me a birthright and I'll give you your
And
meal.
I'll give you food and water.
And this dude is delirious and he says, fine,
Whatever.
you can have my birthright. I just need to eat right now or I'll die.
Yeah.
And that happens. And that's the story. And of course, the context of the story is don't ever give up your birthright.
Yes.
Don't be stupid like Esau because he's forgotten.
Yes.
And Jacob is the person that we remember. We don't say Abraham, Isaac, and
That's
Esau.
so
We say Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So that's the story. That's the story.
That's so deep.
So, this pastor called for 2 volunteers.
Okay.
And one was going to play Esau and one was going to play Jacob. And we were going to, and here's the other thing. We could use a microphone. And microphones to me were like, you speak into this device and you can be heard over the speakers. That is crazy.
Mugambi, it's not a you thing. It's a Kenyan thing.
Is it? It is a Kenyan thing.
Every event I go to, I'm like, why is the person with the microphone screaming? You have the microphone. Stop shouting at us.
This bit of technology for us is like,
Dude,
whoa.
till this day, that
Whoa.
leader of the choir screaming. I'm like, madam. Do you not understand how the microphone works? It's doing that work for you.
Yeah, they do that. They do
That's
the whole
literally
thing.
it. And I'm always like, no. We need to have a briefing.
Oh gosh. So the kids were being handed the mic to answer the question.
So exciting.
One good thing was you get to speak on the mic.
Yeah.
And say your answer. Then you get 1 bob on top. So 1 shilling. I think a couple of people who they answered a 2-part question got 2 shillings. And it's like, wow.
It's wild.
So we go up and we have these corded mics and we're passing the mic between us, me and this guy.
Yes. Who did you play? Do you remember?
I think I played Esau.
Okay.
I think I played Esau.
Okay.
So I'm the one who comes up to Jacob and we improvised a conversation there and then.
Oh, amazing.
And we were passing the mic to each other. And the whole idea behind improv, as anyone has heard about improv, is yes and. You take what you're given. That's the number 1 chief rule.
Yes. You can't say no.
You can't say no.
Yeah.
Whatever it is you're given, you say, here's a bouquet of flowers. And you're like, they smell so good. So the yes is taking the flowers.
Yes.
And then the and is, they smell so good. So you add something on top. And,
Right.
And that's how you build a thing. So me and this guy, 9, 10 years old, 11 years old, were yes-anding each other through the Esau and Jacob story.
Oh, wow.
And you could have had a pin drop. Again, I was like, I am here speaking on a microphone, just making stuff up with this dude. And everyone, including my parents, who are usually a tough crowd, are quiet and listening. It was very dope. My sister again was there and everyone, all the kids were just hanging on to her every word. And we came to the end of the play. We wrapped it up. We knew when we wrapped it up.
Oh my God.
And
also the synergy just there. Shout out to that guy.
I don't know. I can't tell you for the life of me that, but they probably don't even remember.
Yeah.
For them, maybe it was just a passable moment. For me,
Maybe.
this was just like a life milestone. And we handed the mic back and people clapped. And then everyone's attention was on the pastor. Because this was like he was calling out how much you got paid.
Yes.
And everyone's waiting and he says, 10 shillings. And we were
The crowd goes, what?
And people go like, whoa. Like these boys just earned themselves 10 bob.
Right. But I imagine everybody was holding their breath thinking, he better not give them 1 shilling each.
Maybe, perhaps.
Like, come on. That was some.
Perhaps he had set the precedent by adding the stakes a bit. Some guys were getting 2 bob. So he knew. This guy was a showman as well.
Yeah,
God bless him. I don't know who he is. I can't remember, but he was a showman as well.
This is like an auction and everyone's like,
yeah,
what's going to happen?
Exactly. So he says 10 shillings and everyone goes mad. And he gives us the green 10 shilling notes then. Oh. And I was bawling out of control.
This is probably the first time that you actually got paid
yes,
to perform.
It was my first professional role. Yes, I got paid. And it was a really good payout. I would say by today's standards, it was like probably 150 bob, 200 bob.
That's not bad.
And it was pretty, actually
for like
more.
A few sentences back and forth.
Actually more. If we're doing the math, I bought 2 soda. Oh, now my parents came quickly and became my managers. My goodness.
So you bought 2 sodas?
And they took their cut.
And they took their cut.
Yes, they were like, we were eating food afterwards, so there was food, but you had to buy your sodas.
Right.
So the food was free, but you had to buy your sodas.
Yes.
So I was eating, and I remember I was sitting somewhere, and some kid comes and pops his head in a little room. And he sees me, and he runs off. He doesn't say a word. And then 2 more come. And there's 3 of them like... and they ran off. This guy went and actually told the kids that, yo, I just saw that kid.
The one who was
that was doing. And I wasn't even a member of the church. We were just visiting the church.
But I found him.
But we used to go to the church back in the day, but a lot of time had passed. So I was a stranger.
What?
No one knew who I was. And I was a little bit of a celebrity. And then I had the 10 bob in my pocket. And when it came time for buying sodas, I remember my dad saying, my son has money now. He will buy the soda for himself and his sister. For 3 bob. The sodas were 3 shillings. Yani...
Pesa ilienda tu hivyo na ukabaki na the 1 bob.
It was a 6 bob. Nilibaki na 4 bob.
Hata
si kobole.
Okay.
Not even the kobole. The 4... 1, 2, 3, 4 shillings. Now I can't remember. It was either 2 bob or 3 bob. In which case I would have 6 bob change or 4 bob change.
Okay.
But I remember feeling that my stock going down like that.
Yeah. And sodas now, you're going to get a soda in a good place, 100 bob. And a bit upscale, 150.
True.
The highest, 2 sok.
So I'd imagine that they'd be like 100 bob now.
Yeah.
So I had quite a bit of money, yo.
Yeah, that was like a G.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's actually wild.
I think that speaks more about the power of our shilling now.
It does. You should go and do your inflation calculation. Maybe you'll adjust your rate card. You'll be like, wait a minute.
No, it was a lot. This was pre-Goldenberg.
Exactly.
The shilling was still... The shilling was still...
Also, everyone will just know our age. These references, if you don't know, just Google. If you don't know what Goldenberg is, just Google.
Please Google.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
But there's something on Netflix that was talking about gold scandal. And the main person of Goldenberg is also referenced on this modern day, Netflix. So
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, for real.
Okay.
For real.
I know there was the Al Jazeera one.
He's still at it.
And yeah. Anyway, he's still doing it.
He's still doing his thing.
All of this to say is that I learned 2 very valuable lessons about performance on the job.
Right.
Which is a blessing.
Yes.
A lot of people wonder, do you need to go and learn the thing? Do you need to go to school? Do you need to study?
Oh my God, I was asking somebody this the other day. Please answer me.
It's a good thing.
Yes.
It's a good thing, of course. Go to film school, go to drama school, go to dance school. Particularly now when everything is so competitive.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the world just keeps going in that direction where you'll be the auteur artist who just taught themselves everything.
That's true.
And still, if you're going to succeed, you're going to have to teach yourself. And the means to teach yourself there. The University of YouTube, courses that you can sign up for online, but you'll have to.
Yeah.
On the other hand, you might have to go to school and you might want to go to a good school. And if you can afford that, do it.
Yeah.
However, please understand that school can only do so much.
Right. There's still so much you learn on the job, like any other career, actually.
Like any other career. School can only teach you so much. School is not going to instill the X factor.
Yeah.
It's not going to instill the divine moment that you had on stage. You might encounter it during your studies.
Yes, yeah.
But it's not set up for you to have it.
That's true.
It's set up for you to learn the thing.
Yes.
And then maybe in your ordinary day-to-day life, you can do the thing.
Right.
But I was having my magical moments
in real life.
Very normal. funny enough, they both happened in a church.
Yeah.
There might be something to say about that.
Your mom is like, I raised him right.
I think you would say that. My mom is trying so hard to get me back into church. I'm like, see.
You're like, no,
and
mom.
that's, I'm like, mom, man. But you still need that spark, that vitality, that thing that installs the software in you that says, this is what
you're on the right path.
This is your path.
Keep going.
I believe there's a path for everyone. I don't believe everyone has one path. I think there are many, but I think that so long as you're existing here as a being that takes from and gives back to the world, that you're here for a reason. And I'm really grateful that I found it at age 5, age 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So young.
So young.
I'm like, Beyonce also started singing at 9. I'm seeing. Noted. For my future children, I'm so sorry. When we see that talent at 7 or 9, we're running with it. True. Up until you tell me, okay, too much now, I'm done.
I would say for those who are raising children who seem to show something about something.
Yeah.
Follow them. Follow them.
Never know.
They're now leading the way.
Exactly. That's
they're now
so
leading
true.
the way to their destiny. You there as the custodian, as their parent, as their guardian, are there, of course, to help them through it and show up with the younger sibling and take the photographs.
Yeah. I love that. Continuing on with education, I want to know about high school. Actually, tell us if you stayed in the same school from primary to high school, or did you make a change? Because I know sometimes that switches.
That's a good question. Very good question. So I never really took it on. After the 9-year-old experience, the 5-year-old experience, it's never something that I did more regularly.
Okay.
The primary school didn't really have a drama program.
Oh, yeah, it was just
private. Again, private Catholic school.
Okay.
So it really their focus was on your education.
Yes.
And your religious life or your spiritual life. So if you were doing a play, it was within the context of a visiting Catholic missionary who is dead and has been canonified or whatever.
Yeah.
And we're singing a song about them or doing a skit about how
it's the Saints' Day,
came to Africa and taught us the gospel and saved us. that BS.
I'm so triggered.
That's the stuff we were doing.
Right.
I even remember a song where we were singing in praise of a missionary called Joseph Alamano. Who went and founded missions and hospitals and churches and things. And he's still celebrated. There's actually a Joseph Alamano Center in Karen.
Oh, wow.
On the vast tracts of land that the Catholic Church owns.
Damn. Yeah.
Anyway, so that's what we did. And then when I went to high school was such a shift. I went from private Catholic primary day school.
Okay.
To public national boarding high school. Hey. So from Consolata Primary School to Lenana School.
Oh, that is very different.
Even
just the number of people, because Lenana is so much bigger huge, as a school. It's big.
And it's a high school. And now suddenly you're sharing with cold water. It's all boys. You're surrounded by boys. You share with cold water. It's boarding facilities. It's not fancy. It's not. It's a public high school. Wait. That was hard. That was difficult.
I can imagine.
Difficult. However, and allow me to take a deviation here.
Yeah.
God is always in the details. I'll tell you that.
Amen.
I'll tell you that. I don't even mean it in a religious way.
Like it's just you've seen it in life and you've been reminded many a time.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Every time if you're paying attention, you will know the moment at which a sign from the universe came to you and told you you're on the right path.
Okay.
Or you're on the wrong path.
Right.
There's a lot of signs from universe telling you're on the wrong path.
Sometimes we choose not to listen to them.
The ones on the wrong path have just been as illuminating for me as the ones on the right path. They just don't make for good stories. Like the one I'm about to tell you. About 2 weeks into high school, I was very homesick.
Okay.
I hated it. I was hiding somewhere and crying. I missed home. I missed the conveniences. I missed meals. I missed the warmth. I missed the shows, the TV shows. I missed watching Family Matters.
Saturday cartoons.
The Saturday cartoons, Club Kiboko,
things.
that stuff. I really missed that stuff. So I was really, really not having a good time.
You were a Form 1, which means that everybody's mission is to make your life miserable.
It's part of the rite of passage. It's part of the rite of passage.
It's how it works.
Yeah, you get hazed. Now, bullying was not the thing that it was years before, where people would actually get beat up or jumped or whatever. It wasn't any of that.
Okay.
You'd get ngotos here and there. There was one trick that they would have where they would tell you, put your finger here. And you can't say no to a Form 4 who tells you,
whatever they tell, even if you know what's
happening. Put your head here on my nini. So the trick was you'd put your forehead on their finger and then they'd give you a ngoto. And if there were many, you'd get about 4 or 5. And you know these are Form 3s and Form 4s who are ones from ones.
Yes.
And they were bullied in a very different
way.
They were much more repressed, so they had to let it out.
Yeah.
And they didn't like these woke Form 1s who were protected and could walk around and say, I know my rights. No. So we'd get whatever it is, if they had a chance like this,
they're gonna do it.
Yeah. So I did get a few ngotos here and there.
Okay.
Then they had a trick where, because Form 1s caught on and they would do this and then cringe.
Yes, yeah.
They'd put your finger here and then the ngoto would come from the hand whose finger you were.
Adjusting to whatever you decided to do to protect yourself.
That was small time. That was small time stuff. Small time. But it was culture shock. It was hard. So someone approached me and said, listen, see, you went to Consolata? And I said, yes. Do you want to go watch a musical at St. Mary's? I said, yeah.
Yeah.
And they said, 15 bob. And I'm like, that's a lot of money, man.
Yeah.
So it was like 10 bob for the ticket and 5 bob for transportation. Because they had the into the small bus and went to St. Mary's. And I did not know at that time that I was sitting with the Lenana School Choir.
Right.
And choir season is second term.
Okay.
This was first term. Mm-hmm. And they were missing all the good times that they'd had from second term of the year before.
Right.
And so to reminisce, they started singing. And for the first time, I did not know that Kenyans could sing Hallelujah. 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 They sang it from beginning to end. And then there's a bit that in Handel's Messiah called the Amens.
Okay.
Where you just sing Amen and Amen and Amen and Amen.
But I can imagine the harmonies.
Inside this small rickety van.
Yeah.
I get goosebumps remembering it because I was like, I've never had voices like this ever.
Wow.
And I was stunned. By the time we were getting to St. Mary's and we watched Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, it's like I'd entered another world. I was so sheltered. This world was so different. So from hearing these people sing Hallelujah to watching these people
I know St. Mary's musicals was serious.
This was 1995, and by that point, the standards were still very, very high.
Yeah.
Things changed a lot later on.
Yeah,
it's nowhere near the school it used to be. But then, the Catholic priests there knew that the artistry is very important.
Yeah,
so
sports and art from St. Mary's was like, it was a standard.
And you know, it's funny that it was always considered a weakness.
Yeah.
I knew what was sports. I knew what was drama.
Yeah.
And it was never a thing of that also counts in addition to the academics. So when we went and came back, I remember going to my desk mate and telling him, dude, something special happened last night.
Yeah.
I was in the van with these guys and they were singing so well. And then I was told that they are the choir.
Right.
And apparently, the other thing I was told was, you're on a trip and you're not a choir member, you're a Form 1. I was the only Form 1 there. I was there on the graces of someone who knew I'd come from Consolata and probably
was
held
interested.
that in high esteem.
Yes.
And he was like, these Consolata kids are a bit worldly.
Yes.
They understand these things. Mm-hmm. So that's how I got on and I could pay the money, and I think I even paid at 20 bob, which is a lot of money.
Yeah.
Because I had 200 bob pocket money.
For the whole term?
Yes. Well, until midterm.
Yeah. Until you go back home.
Which was a month and a half away.
Right.
So that was not a lot of money.
Yes.
So I was told, you have a Form 4 came and said, you're a Form 1, I don't know who you are, Nini, and you're coming on this trip. If you don't join choir next year, you're in trouble. I'll come for you personally. Because that is a space that could have been occupied by someone else.
By somebody who was actually going to come and join choir.
Or someone who was in the choir and would just continue. It was a valuable seat. So I was told, next time, choir season, you join. You don't have a choice.
Okay.
I said, okay, cool. So I went to my desk mate and I said, I'm joining choir. We should join. And he said, cool, let's do it. So we joined choir. He never left music. He's now the head of the Nairobi Orchestra.
What?
I'm not kidding. Levi Wataka and I were desk mates. We found our artistic journey there and then.
That is hilarious. I love that story.
That's the story. We were
And
both
so shout out to you for his career.
No, never. I'll never take music would have found him anyway. I can't take the credit. This was what is it? That it's just a series of events. It's not the causation of it. He'd still have found his way. But it's so cool looking at it now. Yes.
That he continued on that path. And you also continued as a performer.
Yes. From my experience of watching Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Yeah.
By Form 3, I had joined the drama club. And then my acting journey really, truly began.
The rest was history.
Then, yeah. And to tell you who the really wonderful people I was in drama club with at that point, the drummer of the guy who was on the drums was really good. He was like a drumming protege. You could give him desks or whatever and he'd go just
off.
linear beat.
Wow.
He became Mosioka, the producer. 2 years behind. I think he was in Form 1 or Form 2. We had a dude who loved singing and loved theatrics. We called him Juma. Mm-hmm. But he was K-Rapt. So K-Rapt was in drama club with us.
What?
The only other person I can remember.
Class.
Oh, it was a really cool. No, these are the guys behind us.
Oh,
so
okay.
I am not a millennial.
Oh yeah.
I am Generation X. I'm the last of the Generation X.
The last, the final.
Yes, the final, like the last, because I think millennials start in 82.
Yes.
But I could tell. 1982, there was something special about the people coming out that year. Uh-huh. They were special. So Mosioka was that. Just a band called their second album 82 because all of them were born in 1982.
Right.
2 of those members, Jim Chuchu and Blinky Bill, were Changerians as well. And those guys were special. And we could see, even as the older students, we could see that shift happen almost immediately. We're like, these guys are built different.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't have the vikwazos in our heads that we do.
Yeah.
They definitely
they don't have limits in their minds.
No, they don't. It's almost like they were raised different.
Wow.
And you could see their skills coming to the fore almost immediately.
Yeah.
The one other person that was part of the drama club with me then, who's still part of it, is director Vince Mbaya.
Oh.
Yeah, he's most known for Pepeta and Country Queen.
Yes.
We were in the drama club together. So we had our origins there.
I'm now realizing why Lenana School had the rep that it had now when I was in high school and growing up. And I'm like, you guys did that work.
Yeah, we did. Of course, there were other high schools, and I really loved the high school culture back then where we would really compete against each other artistically.
Yes.
You couldn't mess with Upper Hill when it came to vocals.
Yeah, choir. Their choir was insane.
On point.
I mean, they gave us Sauti Sol. So.
They did. Exactly. And that's the point.
Yeah.
And then Dago had the band. The band, and you had people who could play drums, they could read music, they could play the horns.
Do we still have that now? Like, this school really has this thing. Because I know, when I was in high school, St. Mary's was known for rugby. And we have so many national Kenyan rugby players that are from Saints.
Yeah.
And I remember, what was Loreto known for? And we had schools known for certain things. But now I'm wondering, is that still a thing?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Youngins, if you graduated high school in 2022,
or
what
you are
in your last year of 2023, please let us know. I'm so curious.
I would love to know.
Whether, it's still a thing.
I'd love to know. Yeah. There was, each school had, I'll use this word, like a bastion for something. Moi Nairobi girls, you couldn't beat them in choir when it came to the Zopendo section.
Oh.
They had this one teacher who could remix
Zili
Zopendo songs into choral forms with your soprano 1, 2, alto 1, 2, and
okay, that's amazing.
And I don't know if that person is still there. So I'll say this: I doubt it, particularly when it comes to arts and sports.
Yeah,
because the previous regimes have really been trying to push that down.
Yeah.
Really just
academics became front and center, I think, at one point.
And that's unfortunate.
I moved over to British system.
Yeah.
And it was the same. Like Braeburn Theatre, which still hosts so many plays now, was known for doing incredible plays.
Not the case now.
Braeside was known for doing incredible plays because we'd always do our plays at Braeburn and they were like our sister school.
Right.
Turi was known for sports and I think they're still known for sports. And we always used to be like, you guys are in the wilderness. What else did you do other than run? And different things. Greensets and Turi were in the same neighborhood. So they were really known for being great at sports.
Yeah.
So it was like the musician academics, Kina Premier, like...
Yeah.
So I don't know. I would, guys, let us know if it's still the same.
I would love to know. Yeah.
I think Mugambi and I can talk about school forever. Let's jump over to, you're in America.
Yes.
You went to America for university or what was that journey like?
I went for my grad school.
Okay.
I've been working in advertising here for a while. I graduated from, I went to undergrad in USIU, studied IT, quickly made a left turn and left IT. I did IT for all of literally 2 weeks.
Okay.
And then now I was IT department in an ad agency. But I was in the right place because I really wanted to be in advertising. Got into advertising, worked there for a few years, became a creative, and then went to the US, to Syracuse University.
Okay.
To the SI Newhouse School of Public Communications, which is the communications college within Syracuse University, to study a master's in advertising. Really excellent idea. Terrible timing.
Because you were there 2007, 2008.
Yes.
When we had an economic crisis.
Yes.
One that almost was as bad as Great Depression.
Yes.
But
yeah, it was bad.
What was that like?
It put the country on its knees. It was rough. It was rough.
Were you like at graduation point where you're like, maybe I'll work here? And then it's just like, that's
Absolutely.
not going to happen. Oh.
The advertising grad school class had 15 students.
Oh, that's small.
Total, yeah. Then it's a largely international class, and we had the distinction of being the only advertising class until then that had 2 Kenyans in it.
That's huge, actually. Yeah. America back then.
It was
2 Africans is a lot.
2 Africans is already
2 Africans from the same country.
Two Africans from the same country.
Yeah.
And were there, I don't think there were any other Africans in the class. Yeah. So I was part of this class, and the expectation, the assumption was that we would have jobs by the time we were graduating. We were that competitive.
Yes.
And I think only one person had a job out of the class of 15. The reality of it was that one person had a job. And by the time I was leaving the US, I think there was just 2 or 3 who actually ended up in jobs at ad agencies. A few found themselves in media houses and stuff. But then the situation in America was bad.
Yeah.
Bad.
People were losing jobs. So how are you going to get one?
Exactly.
Yeah.
People are losing jobs. I remember at the agency that I was just about to join, I was just, I believe, just a couple of weeks away from joining. They had a hiring freeze.
Okay.
And they had a hiring freeze not just at that agency, but all the agencies affiliated with that agency across the country.
Wow.
They weren't going to take in any new people. And then a few months later, there was a mass letting go of hundreds of employees at that one agency. At that one agency, yeah. At that one agency.
So you can just imagine the country.
So imagine what's happening across the country.
Yeah.
Budgets are going down everywhere. I'll say this, again, like I say when I say God is in the details and your path. I mean, guys, I'm speaking to myself as much as I'm speaking to you now. I'm telling this to myself because I'll always have one or the other creative crisis when things are not coming together the way I think they should.
Yeah.
In this case, the crisis was around, I came here to study. A lot of money was spent.
Yeah.
Being here and now it's not working out.
Yeah.
Now what happens? But a few very important things were happening under the surface. One, this myth of America was breaking.
High key. Sorry. I'm just like, I wish more people knew. That's because I was in the UK when, just before Brexit actually happened.
Whoa.
So I was in the UK when like the Labour parties were campaigning, like they would even come round to the universities and everything. And I was like, these people are not going to vote to leave the EU. That's ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
And I was in third year actually applying for jobs. Shock on me how that story ended. But I'm glad that I just came back to Kenya. I think it was meant to be.
True.
Yeah.
Same thing for me.
Yeah. It was meant to be. I was pissed at the time, but...
Yeah. So was I. So the myth of America was falling.
Yeah.
If you remember, this was George W. Bush. His time was coming to an end.
Right.
And the war on terror, weapons of mass destruction have been revealed for the lie that they were. He'd been voted in a second time, so this idea of a very powerful right-wing
Wasn't
population,
making sense.
It wasn't making sense.
Yeah.
You're right. It wasn't making sense.
Yeah.
We didn't understand, but
Yeah.
it was starting to. They were starting to show themselves for who they really were.
True.
And then Obama was about to come in.
Yeah.
So I was there during the campaign of Obama. This is after I realized my dreams are done of going in, of
God,
getting a job.
we wore those badges in high school.
Really?
Yeah.
Here in Kenya.
Let me tell you, when Kenyans own one of their own, we go hard. We go in.
And you remember he had his visit, his inaugural visit to Kenya as senator in 2006?
Yes.
And so Obama mania had begun.
All the children being born that year were being called Obama.
Yes,
it was crazy.
Yes.
Was it? What was his tagline? Oh, this is going to bother me. Anyway, it'll come later.
I'm giving you time.
We are...
You're close.
God, I know there's a we.
Yes, we can.
Thank you.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can. Do you know what was in my head?
What?
Make America great again. I'm like, no, that's evil. Go away.
Hey.
I was like, I'm seeing red. I'm seeing Kanye's face. I'm seeing Trump's face. I'm like, no. That's not.
And that.
Dude, that's how you know their messaging is effective.
That's the power of branding. That's the power of good branding.
Yeah. And I was like, no, his was good. What was it?
It was Yes We Can.
Yes, we
so
can.
I was there for the Yes We Can.
Okay.
So I was there for very important things.
Yeah.
I was also there to see how the thing that you call yourself. I used to say this BS thing. Advertising is my trade. Acting is my craft. Pretentious shit. I used to say that. So I was seeing my trade like shaking from the foundations.
Yes. And that's not your identity. If this is how you always used to introduce yourself and tell yourself, this is who I am.
This is who I am. I always defined myself by what I did. But I was like, millions and millions of people who defined themselves by what they did were losing their homes. Were defaulting on their mortgages, were losing their jobs. America, it was things fall apart.
Right.
In America. It was things fall apart. It's why Obama was such an attractive option.
Yeah.
How messed up America was at the point. So I was seeing all this and I fell back on acting again.
I really like that. Because you were just like, so this advertising is not working.
It's not working.
Let's go with this other one.
Now, just to make, even if it's $20 a week.
I will do it.
Let's see what you can do.
I want to know about coming back home to Kenya. Was that an active decision? Was it an acting job maybe that brought you back?
No,
what was it?
It wasn't an active decision.
Okay.
It wasn't an acting job. It was my visa running out.
Oh.
And not wanting to walk around being illegal.
Yes.
My visa to travel back and F the UK. Like for real. Like screw them.
It's the UK and even the Schengen visa. We were having a conversation about this the other day.
I know. I personally know someone who was denied their Schengen visa. And
even when you get it, you're just like, but did I have to go through all these?
Yeah. So I'll tell you this. My flight back to Kenya was passing through Heathrow.
Okay.
To sit in Heathrow in the airport for 11 hours on transit, I needed a visa. What nonsense is that? You need a UK visa to
and I'm not going to leave the airport.
In the airport. You're not going to leave the airport just to sit in the airport. So
is that still a thing?
I don't know. I would not be surprised.
Yeah.
With the way things are going in the UK, I think it probably very much still is. But because of applying for an American visa in the US is hard.
Yeah.
There's always a backlog. So there was a backlog and I had to stay in America for 3 more weeks. And I was pretty much out of status for 3 weeks.
Right.
And I remember walking and I saw a dude in his car take a wrong turn.
Oh.
Onto a one-way street by mistake.
Right.
Wee, cops, sirens. He was then. And I was like, this could be me. I could be crossing the road a funny way.
Yeah.
I could be near something and then
they find out you're illegal.
And then they realize I'm illegal and now that's going to be an issue. I was like, I can't be living like this behind my back. Yet there's millions of Kenyans who are.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just say hundreds of thousands who are doing that in places around the world.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be that guy, so I came back home.
Okay.
But I came back home when Kenya was going through a creative resurgence. It felt like 2000. It felt like 1997.
Okay.
Was a very important time in Kenya's history. It's the first artistic history. It's the first time we had music that was Kenyan.
Came from Kenya.
That was pop that people loved and would play in the club. Tafsiri hii akina Kalamashaka came out then.
My mom made me listen to
Nameless,
these people.
97, 98 had done
When he
Mega
started.
Rider.
Yes.
There was a song called 4-in-1 by a guy called Ndalin P.
Hey, that's what I don't even know. Let me
Don't
not lie.
worry,
You
it's fine.
Peter.
It's all right. Don't worry. There was a guy called Poxy Pressure had released a song called Total Bala. These were all songs.
I know the song.
Yes.
I would never have told you the name of the person.
Poxy Pressure. Hardstone had released a song called Ohiki.
Another one I don't know.
It's okay. It's fine. What I'm saying is all of these people who you might never have heard of.
Yeah.
Sheila Mwanyiga doing a song called
Sheila, of
Mapenzi
course.
Tele.
Yes.
All of these people were releasing music that was coming out of pretty much one studio. And for the necessary noise came out later on afterwards with an entire album, not just songs, an entire album.
Shout out to you, Nazizi.
Shout out to Nazizi
And Waire.
and Bamzigi at the time entered Josiah. So all of this stuff was happening in 97,
Yeah.
98, 96, 97, 98.
Yes.
And remember our 82 bonds
Oh, yeah. Are the ones
are
now
the
you're...
ones who are now starting to find their way into
Yes, you're like in uni or just coming out of
Yes.
uni.
Now, the 82 bonds were still in high school, but they were the ones
yeah, it's
that were
10
going to
years.
start becoming the people that would become the cornerstone of music.
Right.
So just a band, remember, 82.
Yes.
Issa, K-Rapt,
yeah.
Big Pin, all of these guys were pretty much, Musyoka, all of them were pretty much from the same
Yeah.
2-3 year
If we didn't have
window.
Ogopa DJs and Kina Nameless and
Yeah.
whoever, we wouldn't be where we are now.
So these were the older guys realizing these young guys have something.
Right.
They don't have, their peers didn't want to get into music.
Okay.
But the younger people
We're
didn't have
doing
the same
it.
vikwasos that the peers did. So
Yes.
they were putting a lot into them.
Which makes
Studio
sense because
time.
they're managers at that age group, they're producers
Yes,
at that age group.
Exactly. So that 2006, 2007, 2008. Actually, 2007 going all the way to 2010.
Yes.
Kenya, when it came to film and television and music, was going through a second resurgence. So at this point, this little known group of Upper Hill boys called Sauti Soul released Lazizi.
Yes.
I had Lazizi because it was forwarded to me on email. Someone sent me an MP3 of Lazizi and Wera saying, this is what people are making back in Kenya.
Wow.
They hadn't had their music on Apple Music yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was on Apple Music. So you forwarded music by email.
Also, Apple Music back then was called iTunes.
It was called iTunes, sorry.
No,
It didn't
I'm just
they
talking
didn't
to
have-
Gen
yes,
Z
to
and
the
Gen
young people.
Alpha who have no idea what
Yes.
we're talking about.
you bought MP3s on your iTunes.
Yes.
And then you put it on your iPod.
Yes. Or
There was-
we
there was
had
no
torrents.
streaming.
Like
Or you
I
had
had so
torrents.
much illegally downloaded
Please tell
music
me
on my MP3 player.
What did you use? Kaza?
I
LimeWire?
used LimeWire.
LimeWire.
Yeah.
Napster?
Yes.
Yes. People don't know what we're talking
They
about.
don't know what to say.
So there was peer-to-peer sharing of music.
Yeah.
Or you forwarded music on email.
Yeah.
And now there was a resurgence. It was like we had not had ourselves like that. Modoni Drama Queen.
Yes.
Della. Just a band, as
It was
I've
such
said.
an incredible time, actually.
And then the people now that followed them, they were now starting to come out as well. Modoni Drama Queen was now forming Blankets and Wine.
Yeah, I was in high school and my parents said I could go to a blanket. I was like,
That's amazing.
yes.
That's amazing.
And then I got to blankets and I realized there was tags for adults and tags for children. And I
you
got
came
the
through
children
then.
tag. And I was like, might as well even just come with mom.
To stop you guys, because you guys were drinking and
Probably
going
wanting to
crazy.
experiment. Yeah, you're a teenager. You're like,
that was not experimentation. That was death. It's like kids were trying to kill themselves.
It was-
You know the number of
it
times
was
you'd be
much.
walking away and you'd see kids
a small
passed out.
child. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And then the
we were that
fights.
generation actually. Oh, and the fight.
Oh,
The fights.
Y'all were a lot, man.
I remember one of like my first boyfriends, he would always fight. And I just used to put my hands out like this because he would put his blazer. And also we were that generation where we would go out in office outfits. Do you guys remember that? We would go out in blazers and we
What?
thought it was so cool.
What?
Yeah. And so I would put out my hands and he'd put his blazer and put his shirt and do the fight and win. And he'd always fight like with his brothers. Then he'd come back and pick up his things, wear them, and we'd continue with the party.
That sentence.
Yeah.
That group
it
of
was a
sentences
very
is
short
so crazy.
relationship. And I am glad that...
You started that with one of my earliest boyfriends. That's how you started the sentence.
Yes.
Then it went to liked to fight.
Yeah.
You became a living coat hanger.
Yes. But I'm glad that I did that then because now violence around me, we're not doing it at all. Yeah. It's not happening.
God is in the details.
Exactly.
You were exposed to what you did not want.
I was just
You're
like,
this is the wrong path. Wrong path.
Especially when you're like on the side of the supporter of the person who's doing the beating.
Who's perpetrating the violence.
And we would continue. The party would continue. Like...
I love it
when
so
they
much.
say that there's a part of your brain that's not working at that age,
Yeah.
absolutely
Okay,
true.
you agree?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Are you joking? Today could never be me. I would call the cops on you. What are you saying?
No. Oh, I love it so much. Oh, man. I hope someone is interviewing you.
That would be very interesting.
I volunteer.
We should do it. Yeah.
I
Honestly, we
volunteer.
can talk forever. So we'll just do it.
I'll ask you all the questions. I'll just give me your bio. Let's have a pre-conversation for like an hour. I'll get all the points down. Then I'll be like, so.
I'm dead. So during this resurgence in Kenya, you come back.
I come back at this point.
And you
which
get
was wonderful.
involved in changes.
This changes came
a little later.
shortly afterwards.
Okay.
There's one more thing that I forgot to say that was really happening that was special. Was cinema, film.
Oh.
In 2004, 2005, a movie came out called Dangerous Affair.
What? You know that's something that had just been erased from my mind forever and you said it and I'm like...
There's even been a reaction, Nuku.
Yes.
Dangerous Affair.
I remember my
Dangerous
mom
Affair.
specifically telling me, you cannot watch this. I watched it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. But I think probably 2 years later or something.
So that means that you had access to it.
I see. It was on a
Very
CD,
likely
I think.
on
Probably
a-
legally burned or something. I don't know. Or we bought it. I don't know.
Because I remember, you very likely bought it on VHS.
Oh, yes.
You had the video cassette at home.
That
because
makes
we did
sense.
as well. And something very important happened in the industry. First, there was a fictional film. It was not a documentary. A
Yeah.
fiction film written, shot, that had no NGO message, no NGO money.
Yes.
It wasn't about AIDS. It wasn't about rural urban
Food,
migration. It wasn't about food
donation.
insecurity.
Yeah.
It wasn't about
water, anything.
yeah, it wasn't
War,
about bilharzia, you know? It wasn't about that at all.
Cholera is killing us all.
Cholera, it wasn't about that. It was about urban Nairobi and urban people navigating relationships in Nairobi.
Yeah.
And it was a sensation. Now,
Oh, yes.
it wasn't perfect.
No, it wasn't. Oh my God, but people
The
were
production
obsessed.
values were not that high. It was done on a budget. The story, you'd say by today's standards, the value of that story is not entirely in its finesse.
Yes.
It's now a stamp in history of who young people were at that point.
True.
But this film came out. And Judy Kibinge, the director, who's still very much a living, breathing, working film person.
Wow.
Was the director, and the producer was called Njeri Karago.
Okay.
And they joined forces.
Also two
and
women.
Njeri-
What?
Two women.
Amazing.
Oh, the industry rests on the backs of women.
Right.
I promise you.
I'm so happy you said
So-
that. We're just going to cut that. That's going to be the little social media clip right there.
No, Njeri Karago and Judy Kibinge at that point, and I'll mention a few other women as we continue. They released this movie, and Njeri had the foresight to even think of a distribution channel. And so they did two things. One, they put this video or this film on VHS.
Yes.
And this VHS was on sale at convenience stores in Nairobi, across Nairobi, at Shell, at the convenience
That's
stores.
probably where we bought it.
Yes, very likely. Because you are like, I'll also get that.
Yeah.
And it's a video cassette. It had Sarah Mwehaki, Nini Washera, and the gentleman whose name I can't remember, Dangerous Affair on the cover.
Yes.
And it was like a Kenyan film.
I just remember Nini Washera.
Yes.
And she still does.
A show called MTV Sugar
Yeah.
had been shot. And the trailer was released on YouTube. And remember, this is 2008, 2009. YouTube is still not the big, huge thing it is. It was huge, but not what it is now.
Yeah.
And I remember being in the apartment in Philadelphia. I'm living in Philadelphia now. I moved to Philadelphia. That's where I was acting from. And I saw that trailer. And I was like, I need to go home. I need to go home.
This is happening. Why am I here?
Why am I here?
I need to be there.
Just a Band is releasing their first album. Modhoni Drama Queen, who I knew from before because she was on the fringes of the acting scene. Kind of wanted to get into that, but didn't.
Okay.
Then got into music. She was releasing music now, and she was doing this whole blankets and wine thing. And I was like, I need to go home. There's something special happening there. So by the time I was coming back, Just a Band's first album had been out for about a year and a half.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And no, about a year. I know. I'd say half a year to a year. And I was coming back to Kenya in September of 2009. And by that point, Wanuri Kahio had released a short film called Pumzi.
Do I even know that film?
Oh, look for it. You can find it.
Yeah.
It was distributed, I believe, by Focus Features.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, like international distribution. It was huge.
So Wanuri
Yeah, Wanuri is a big deal. Wanuri is a big deal. Another filmmaker called Hawa Esuman had just made a film called Soul Boy.
I think I've heard that title, but I've never watched it.
It's on Netflix.
Okay.
Go look for Soul Boy. And it was under this umbrella of filmmaking called One Fine Day Films. That would then go on to make a film that you might have heard of, little known film called Nairobi Half-Life.
Yes, just perhaps.
You might, if you haven't heard of it, I don't blame you. It's small, independent, low budget movie. Anyway, so I was coming back into this. And I was like, immediately, I have seen that the acting thing is not working. The advertising thing is not working.
Yeah.
I want to balance them now.
That's so cool because it means like your biggest inspiration was fellow Kenyans, your own age.
Absolutely.
Doing stuff and you were just like, why am I here?
The reason why Skika is important in the work of Skika is artists are born, if an artist is being born, the midwives are artists.
Yeah. Yes.
Artistry is born by the artists that go before.
True.
We're the ones that open the birth canal for the artists to come out.
Yeah, because it's coming from somewhere, or you have to see somebody do something and you go, I want to do that.
Yeah. Or it might awaken something. I don't want to do exactly that, but if they can do that, then I can do this.
Yes,
it's very organically that way. So all of these waves of Kenyan artistry, the ripples were finding me in America. Thank God for technology.
Yeah.
Thank God for iTunes and YouTube. And I was like, I need to go back.
Yeah.
And I came back. There's a lot to tell. Again, I appreciate the platform. Thanks to
Samantha Ware.
Miss Ware for allowing this to happen.
Yeah.
Because we can only talk about artistry. I can have 50 artistic conversations from a different point of view. This one is very specific to people who are coming up.
Yes.
And I always need to reassure people that where you're at is fine.
Yes.
Where you are on the journey sucks. That's fine, but you're still part of the graph. The graph can't be this. If the graph is like this, at one point you'll be here. I might be talking to you and you're here.
Yeah.
Or I might even worse be talking to you and you're here.
Right.
And you're still on the descent.
Yes.
But please, you need to trust that it is
all part of the process.
Exactly. Okay. I did not use those words because I feel they kind of...
They used a lot.
I want to put it a different way. If you've listened to the Desiderata...
Okay.
No doubt the universe is unfolding as it should.
Okay, yeah. I think that's a great way to look at it.
Yeah. Look at it that way. It'll color everything. Everything a different color. So I come back and I've come back. I don't have money to my name. I pretty much have failed.
Yeah.
In the US.
Yeah.
I didn't find a job. I have my piece of paper. I have my degree.
Yeah, you got your degree.
I didn't get there. I wanted to be a New Yorker. I wanted to work in advertising. I really wanted to make something of myself. In fact, the plan was I would leave my advertising job, hop on the subway and go to an acting class or an improv class after hours. I wanted to do that stuff.
So your plan was, if I'm coming back to Kenya, it's for holiday, to tell people about my cool job in America and go back and do it.
Precisely. I was going to be that summer bunny using old slang, you know? And saying, but this water is not...
It's not...
it's not...
You guys don't serve tap? Oh, it's bad? Ox.
I was talking to someone about that just 2 days ago about tap water in Nairobi.
It's a whole conversation. We will discuss it after. It's a whole thing.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, so I come back and I come back in September, and 6 months later, Mark Mende comes out.
Shout out to K1.
Yes.
I used to see him at social events and just say, Mark Mende. And now I'm just like, I feel like he's a friend and I can't even bother him like that anymore. I'm
You're
just
on
like,
first
hi.
name basis. It's wonderful.
Hi, how are you?
At this point, I went from being outside of it to inside of it because now I was in the video.
Right.
And I was part of this viral sensation that was going global.
First Kenyan viral thing ever,
Exactly.
actually.
And then that was in April of 2010. I got into a job. It was a job that I hated very much.
Oh, no.
I'll be honest with it. It drove me into clinical depression.
Oh.
I was in very bad mental health.
Yeah, bad shape.
Very bad shape.
Did you get the job for financial purposes, like so I can eat?
Absolutely.
Because the acting is...
Absolutely.
You've mentioned it's like once a year. You had something in 2009, then you have something else in April 2010, then
there you
in
go. Okay.
2011.
I didn't even see it that way. Yeah.
So it makes sense.
So I did still want to work in advertising.
Okay.
I wanted to work in advertising in a way that I could call shots.
Yeah.
And I was still very passionate about creativity.
Right.
And I wanted to come back and really bolster with what I'd learned in the US, how you can really make creativity good. I joined the advertising scene in 2003. And that was the last 2003 was the kind of the glory years were now beginning their ending because
I worked at Ogilvy just as WPP was buying it. Yeah, when the merge happened globally.
Oh.
I had the little Ogilvy, the David Ogilvy book.
Yeah.
And I remember there was one time, I won't mention his name, but he came to like talk to everybody at Ogilvy and like appease them or whatever.
I know who you're talking about.
And I came home and I read that book and I just felt so sad because it was like a goodbye to everything. David
everything that you
Ogilvy,
knew.
his strategy and his plans and how we were meant to do things. And I was in PR, but still, it was just like, eh.
I worked at Ogilvy. PR was a tiny PR group. PR was a tiny office. We worked at a house called Longonot. It was a house.
Yeah.
And PR was given the SQ.
Makes sense.
It was given like the extension of the house. It was very small.
Very
and then
accurate.
we watched Ogilvy PR grow. But I worked at Ogilvy in the last of the glory years. We made a campaign for TB called TB Natiba. I watched my desk mates make Nimechil.
Oh, wow.
I watched that campaign being made.
Oh, nice.
It was wonderful. Then later on, me and KJ, who's now an MP, was now a politician, adapted a campaign from Ogilvy, New York for Fanta called Bambucha and localized it for East Africa.
This is so
We
cool
were there
because we
in the
referenced
glory years.
Bambucha on another episode of this
no way.
podcast. Yes.
Oh, you're welcome. I was the copywriter on that campaign.
Oh, dope.
Yeah,
So
and
you
we
wrote...
I wrote the radio ads. We wrote the and radio was huge then. Radio was huge.
Yeah.
Everyone was listening to radio.
Yeah.
We did the copy for the billboards, but it was an adaptation. So the TV commercials were made out of New York. We
with the
localized
hair
it.
going big and
with those guys eating life with a big spoon.
Dope.
But localizing is you have to take the nuances of your local culture.
Yes.
And then add the international and still make it about youth culture.
Yeah.
So Bambucha was a huge success.
Yes.
Huge.
Yes.
Huge.
Yes. I completely agree.
I'm still grateful for that. So I came back when the glory years were pretty much done. And that's what kind of drove me into depression. I was so idealistic about what I could do. And I realized that I was quite powerless.
Right.
But it was in the midst of that Nairobi Half-Life came.
Ooh.
I got the role on it and I showed up on set for the first day. And I can only compare that feeling of being in the vehicle, going to set for my first day of shooting, to being in the van, heading for Joseph and the amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Same feeling.
Same feeling. It was
All
a
those
feeling
years
of
later.
magic, of I'm surrounded by people with whom we're making cool things together. And I'm an actor.
Yes.
It was wonderful.
And now you're like, I'm an actor. Like, I got the paperwork and everything. They're going to pay me at the end of this. This is so cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's for real.
It was for real.
Did you guys know it was going to be the sensation that it
Yes.
turned out to be? Oh, I love it
To
when
some
people know
extent.
before.
To some extent, we knew if this is making me excited, though it's making me excited, this is going to make people excited. It's making us excited.
Yeah.
What we did not know was once we handed it over and it became not ours,
Yes.
from the night of the premiere. Now we knew this thing was special.
Right.
We just didn't know how much.
Yeah.
The word of mouth from the premiere night was so vocal, so loud on social media, word of mouth. People telling other people, people texting other people and saying, yo,
you need to watch this.
Yeah. It was largely cast and crew in the rooms, and we premiered in 2 cinemas at Westgate.
Okay.
And by the afternoon of the next day, anywhere where Nairobi Half-Life was screening,
it was sold out. Yeah.
People were buying tickets and buying tickets and buying tickets and buying and buying
wow.
and buying. Then, of course, as these things happen, a copy showed up on torrents.
Yeah.
And then now
it was
when
everywhere.
It was on torrents. Now it was everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
The first time I watched it on a laptop, and I know for sure that was not.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like to do a little poll. Let me do it right here, actually. For those watching, there's about 2, 4, 6 people here, counting
myself,
counting our wonderful host. How many people watched Nairobi Half-Life? Hands up. Okay, you have not watched Nairobi Half-Life. Wow, this is the first time. First time. So, what?
Dead.
Your dad's favorite movie,
and you haven't watched it.
No, me, I'm still at it's your dad's favorite movie.
Imagine.
Guy, Aki, we are people's father's favorite movie.
Imagine.
Okay, so 5 out of 6. How many of you watched it at a cinema? Hands up. See, no hands. Okay, one hand.
You watched it at a cinema.
One hand.
And she's the production person.
Thank you. And that's it. If a fraction of people watched it at the cinema.
Yeah.
It spread out and became this thing that was on torrent sites.
Yeah.
And then on DVDs.
Yes.
Ironically enough, on the day we were launching the official DVD of Nairobi Half-Life, me and Oti, God rest his soul.
Yeah.
Joseph Babu, who played Moas, Pologola, who played Mose, and Anthony Toshtungu, who played Waf. We were outside, and Tosh was with us earlier, but he left. We were doing an activation at Nakumat Lifestyle.
Okay.
Remember Nakumat? Yeah. not Lifestyle, Nakumat Mega.
Oh, okay.
And we were there. If someone bought a DVD, we'd sign it for them and take pictures. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
We had really, and then each of us had a DVD, and it was cool. Then as we were in the parking lot catching up with each other, one of these DVD sellers comes and sells us Nairobi Half-Life. And he says, Namona hii, cinema ya Kenya, cinema ya Nairobi Half-Life, and we're like, brother. Oh yeah, brother.
Just look a little longer.
And
just
then I was like,
sasa,
tumeangalia DVD, tuangalie sasa. Ni nini. He didn't understand where we were trying to go. Oti got so pissed. He got so pissed. Boy, Maina Olwenya. He got so pissed, he grabbed his DVD and snapped it in half. And said, try selling us this DVD now. And this dude was like, Sani nini. Then he suddenly, I think it came to him.
He's like,
you
wait
guys
a minute.
must have something to do either with this movie or your gava.
Oh, yeah.
You guys are plain clothes. Ani kanjo, ama ni plain clothes, ama flying squad, ama whatever. Yeah. He just walked away. And we were like, the irony that we, the cast of Nairobi Half-Life, just got sold to a DVD of Nairobi Half-Life at the launch of the official DVD of the Nairobi Half-Life. Inje too, just out there afterwards. So that's the specialness of that film.
Oh my God. Word of mouth, 100% true. The first person that I heard about the movie from was my cousin. We went for those family meetings where you go to different houses and he was like, Susan, have you watched this movie? And he was like, I have it on my laptop. We're watching it now.
No way.
Yeah. Guys were doing lunch and makelele and we were in the other room watching Nairobi Half-Life. Yeah. That's how I watched it.
That's a family gathering.
And then I watched it again now on Netflix. I was like, hey, it's on Netflix. Yeah. So for those of you listening, it's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix.
And many other films that you're going to hear us talk about are also on Netflix. Yeah. But that was an insane thing to happen. And it was, I don't know, like, it's still so significant. And I think a big thing about the word of mouthness and the reason that the film was so big, it's also because it was a man's story and men's stories.
I have never seen it that way.
Really?
No, I haven't. I mean, I knew that it was a largely men's story because when you show up to the audition, it was largely dudes. Yeah. The girls were like, who are you reading for? The guys are like, who are you reading for? I'm reading for Cedric, which is my you're reading for OT. You're reading for, WAF. You're reading for so.
Yeah.
And then the girls is like, who are you reading for? Woman screaming in the street.
Yes. I think that's why it was so big, because I don't think men had anything that was theirs. And then so many Kenyan men have that story. You did come from rural. You did come to Nairobi.
Yeah.
You were shown dust by this city. And then you figured it out eventually. So it's very like relevant. And I think that's why a lot of people really connected with it.
Yeah.
I want us to jump over, because with Mugambi, we'll never ever finish. Huh? So
we can even put a hard stop. I come back for season 2.
You come back for season 2?
I'm not saying the hard stop is here. We just say to fike hapa alafu I come back for season 2.
It's because we've talked so much about your acting.
Yeah.
But there's writing and directing. And I think the writing is what is really special. Because I think if you love acting, then you probably are like, well, maybe I would have done it like this if I was the director, but it's fine. So you eventually decide, let me try this out, and you can, fall in love with one over the other.
Yeah.
But writing is not, I don't think it's something everybody can do. Maybe that's just my opinion. I don't know. But I wanted to know stories from the mall. Because there was a terrorist attack here in Nairobi, Kenya, in 2013 at a mall called Westgate. And when I heard about stories from the mall, I actually want to say thank you, because I was so bothered that as a country, there was no memorial, there was no place you could go, like to see all the names of the people we lost at Westgate. It still bothers me, by the way, up till today, that we haven't done that. I was really happy that we did it for the university, because we lost so many students and they decided to do a memorial space for that. But for Westgate, which, dude, it changed everything about Nairobi. You get searched every single building you're entering. Your bag, your pockets, your car, you have to open your boot, you have to open your doors. And all of this started after Westgate. Even us sharing, the warnings, even like
on WhatsApp.
Even like our DCI, our spies and our security officers. Kenya became so much better, and we even had Israelis come in to train people. And I just didn't understand why we've never done something to always remember what happened at Westgate. Like, it was rebuilt, which is great, but there's still no space for that. And I feel like Stories from the Mall was the only thing, other than the families who have memorial for their people, that like looked back at it and,
that's wonderful.
I don't know, pointed that moment out in history. So thank you.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. I felt the exact same way as you did.
Really?
I think everyone remembers where they were. I think the date was September 21st, 2013.
Yeah.
Everyone remembers where they were when they heard that something bad is happening.
Yeah.
I was at home. I was on a project called Safaricom Live.
Oh.
I was a deputy director.
Okay.
Myself and a gentleman called Kanji Mbogwa were directing the show.
Mm-hmm.
Safaricom Live was a huge show.
Yeah.
You had 5 of the biggest artists at the time, and they would put on a concert that lasted about 4 hours.
Yeah.
And we had to to direct the artistic vision for the entire thing.
Right.
It was a lot of work.
Yeah.
And we were really looking forward to that Saturday, because the show was finally coming to Nairobi. Mm-hmm. We'd put it on in Eldoret, in Meru, in Machakos, and Kisumu. And it was now coming to Nairobi. It was going to be happening at Safari Sevens.
Okay.
Because Safari Sevens Saturday night is a big concert night.
Yes.
And the concert was going to be these guys. So we'd done it a bunch of times. It had become like muscle memory now. But now we were like, now we're doing it for the Nairobi people.
Yes.
And we're doing it at this huge rugby event that is happening at Kasarani.
So the audience was even going to be bigger than all the others,
biggest,
for sure.
Yeah, the biggest that we'd ever had. It was huge. And we did have some large audiences in these places.
Mm-hmm.
So I was at home just chilling, just preparing, and we were going to be meeting at Safari Park at the lobby, and then all of us were going to take transportation into Kasarani, because we couldn't all be going there solo, because we would all get lost and just be a logistical nightmare.
Yeah.
And the lunchtime news comes on, and the Westgate story interrupted the it interrupted the news. It wasn't breaking news.
Yes.
It was this just in.
Yeah, because they went in just before 2 p.m. or something.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah. I remember it was like, no, I think it was like 12 noon
12.
going to 1.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, because I remember thinking if they had gone late in the afternoon, it would have been worse.
Yeah.
Wild.
So, I remember Victoria Rubadiri was saying, reports reaching us right now say that there are gunmen who are now at Westgate Mall. There's a robbery going on.
Oh, yeah, that's what they must have thought at first.
Yes, there's a robbery and there's some gunfire. I will share more as we go along.
Yeah.
I went back to other stories, but more news just kept coming in.
Yeah.
So every 1-2 minutes, we have now received reports that the people, the armed men are shooting indiscriminately.
Yes.
It's not a robbery.
Yes.
And when I heard that, I was like, oh my God.
What are you even saying?
What is going on? We all know how it went. By about the afternoon of that day, we knew what was happening.
Yeah.
That there was a terrorist attack going on and people were shooting indiscriminately at innocent shoppers.
Yeah.
They also had grenades.
Yeah.
And they were killing children.
Yeah. There was a whole children's event on the rooftop that day. Yeah.
And they were killing children.
Yeah.
And I remember I said, this is crazy. This is bad.
Yeah.
So we got on our WhatsApp group as the organizers, you know. Was the WhatsApp groups, I think? I can't remember how it was in 2013. But I remember we said, someone said, client has said that we're moving on. Everything is continuing. The show will still go on.
Oh my God.
And I said, what? And I reached out to the guy who, of course, is not the guy making the decisions. I called and I asked, are you serious? Do you know what's going on? He says, I know what's going on. We all know what's going on. But client has said,
we keep going.
Anyway, so I remember I was carrying such a grudge when I was driving to Safari Park. I was carrying such a grudge. I was like, what heartlessness is this? This is corporate interests now. What on earth is going on? I'm so angry.
Yeah.
I remember driving past Westgate. By this point, it had been cordoned off.
Yeah.
You could only see.
The whole road.
You could still hear gunshots. And I remember hearing gunshots. And I lived in Kabete. So you had to drive Lower Kabete. So I had to drive
through Westie. Through
Westie to get to Nthiga Road now to go. And I remember driving by Nini and starting to tear up. And I was like, why is our country going through all of this?
Yeah.
Why should innocent people who are just shopping be killed?
Exactly.
What's going on?
On a normal Saturday, minding your own business. On a normal
Saturday, and I think by this point, some CCTV footage had been released of people running and taking cover. And remember, this is Twitter, the era of Twitter. So people are tweeting.
Yeah, I remember I was in the UK. I had just
that must have been tough.
Flown in, and I remember seeing, shout out to you, Mohit, they were going to go to Westgate. So they were just driving past the stairs. And I think his dad was even going to drop him with his bro, then go park.
Oh my God.
And thank God, it's a horrible story, but thank God, they heard the gunshots. So the dad just sped past. And we were so young at the time. We were first years, I think, or no, second years. And he just went on Facebook and typed what had happened. And I remember that's the first thing I saw, because I'd opened my laptop, I'd refreshed, and then I went on Facebook and I saw that and I was like, what? And then the way you said Twitter, shout out to Faiza. She's actually so awesome in the music world. She does A&R. She was at Art Cafe, and I think she went live on Twitter or live on whichever had a live version, or she was just recording because they were all hiding and they were like under the tables and hiding under the bars. I think maybe it was a recording and she posted it. And so when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, this is real, it's happening. And I called because I was like, my dad or my mom or my brothers, we always go to Westgate. It was so close to home. We were on Lokabete Road. So it was always the place we would go, and my dad would even do his banking and everything there. And you know, Saturdays, the banks are closing just before noon. So I knew he's probably in the mall. So I called and I'm like, are you guys at Westgate? Like, my mom is not hearing me. I'm screaming. I'm like, are you at Westgate? Don't go to Westgate. Call anyone that you know. Like,
that was tough.
It was
It was a rough
horrible.
time. It was a
But I
horrible
think
time.
communication was huge.
Communication,
And Kenyans,
we realized.
Yeah, KOT and all those
KOT
things.
really did
It
the
really
thing.
helped.
Yeah, it did.
Because they were even the ones that were letting even the police and everyone know where people were and where they were hiding to be able to get them out of the mall. But very traumatizing.
It was also traumatizing because of how the government dealt with it.
Yeah.
Because they almost immediately, we saw how Uhuru's, and I'm not ashamed to say it here, Uhuru's PR machinery was an evil thing. They really knew how to hijack stories to turn them around a certain way. And Olelenku, two middle fingers to him, who was our interior or internal security minister at the time, bungled it.
Yeah.
Bungled it completely.
There was Kenyans who owned weapons, private Kenyans, and they did the most saving. Yeah, they did the most saving.
KDF couldn't do shit. The police service couldn't. They were too scared.
They were terrified, and they weren't well equipped or well trained enough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and you remember Reki squad started a fight with KDF inside.
Oh my God, I forgot
fighting
about
each other.
that.
And one person got killed. It was stupid.
I forgot about that.
There was like a bum rush to we Reki can't take it. You can't take that, and we'll take it. We'll do it KDF style. And KDF is search and destroy. But Reki is made for this kind of thing. But there's so much confusion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask, when you were doing Stories of the Mall, was there like points where you were like, no guys, we can't release this?
I'll come to that just now. I was driving to Safari Park. We get to Safari Park, and the director, Kanji, I remember asking him, dude, you were in a position where you could fight for us not to do this. I had this speech. I wanted to be like, dude, as a director, you should have put your foot down and said, no.
We're not even coming.
We can't do this. No. And I wish you had said, no, we're not doing this. Then I went to him and I'm like, Kanji, what are we doing here? And I was about to begin, and he said, you won't believe the kind of 2 hours I've just had.
Oh,
and I'm like,
because he had fought like hell.
So, no, actually, his brother and his nephew and his two nieces were in Westgate. They were at the cooking thing. His brother and his two nieces. And he described in grotesque detail what was going on inside there. Now, if you remember why Stories of the Mall was so important for me is we had no idea what was going on inside.
Yeah.
And government resorted to spin. Instead of telling us this is what's happening, they resorted to spin for national security reasons. And that's why I was like, Uhuru's PR machine, I can never forgive you for that. Olelenku, I'll never forgive you. This was Uhuru's first true test as a president.
Yeah.
And he bungled it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you bungled it even in the way that I would never bungle it, you know? So he said that my nieces saw the gunmen and they watched people, they saw it. They saw the guys going up to people and asking, what's Mohammed's mother's name?
Yes.
Say this prayer.
Yes.
And they saw it. And they said that he even saw a grenade being held next to them. And for some reason, this picture actually made it onto the press.
Oh.
And detonated. The pin was out, but it didn't explode. Next to his daughters. It was so bad. So I'm looking at Kanji and I'm like, oh my God. Okay, I can't tell you anything.
Yeah,
now.
he was on autopilot. Yeah. I don't even think he knew where he was or what was happening. Yeah.
This couldn't be your call to make.
Yeah.
So we gathered our wits, and all of us together, we gathered our wits. We even joined hands. We said prayers. And then we got into the branded Safaricom Live van and made our way to Kasarani. And when we went into Kasarani, you'd never have known that a terrorist attack was happening.
None of those people was on their phones on social media. They were living. They were watching rugby and chanting.
They totally were. Everyone was on their phones. Everyone knew what was happening.
Oh.
But there was this rage that kind of got transformed into partying. So you got in there.
And helplessness.
And
because you can't drive to Westgate and help anything. Yeah. You don't know what to do.
True. You can't. Everyone felt so helpless. It became almost rageful, vengeful partying. People got drunk, they got thing. You felt like the energy was nothing like what the dress rehearsal was like the day before.
Yeah.
We were like, this is strange. It felt like Mad Max. It felt like Thunderdome. It felt like, and I was like, I get it. I understand.
Yeah.
We're angry, we're helpless, we don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
We're not being told anything about it, and there's still people in there dying.
Yeah.
I remember at that point, I was like, whatever I can do to memorialize this thing, I will. And so a year later, in October of 2014, a year later, we put on Stories Stories from the Mall. Stories from the Mall was a selection of, it was a staged reading.
Yeah.
It was a selection of blog posts, think pieces, poems about the events that happened at the mall.
Yeah.
They all came from a place of not being able to understand how it happened, why it happened.
Yeah.
They came from a place of such sadness and processing. And they all came from a need to have people remember. So I said, we're doing Stories from the Mall so that we never, ever forget what happened a year ago, because up until that point, there was never a memorial.
Yeah.
I can't believe there's not a memorial at Westgate.
I'm actually very upset about it. Yeah. Even if we're going to do it somewhere else in Nairobi, I don't understand why that's not a thing.
Nothing.
And if you have any association to the ownership of the mall, imagine there's enough space inside. Come to me. I have construction, guys. We'll do it.
Yeah.
It needs to be done.
Stories from the Mall was one of the most...
2023 is 10 years.
10 years.
I've just realized.
Yeah. It's going to be 10 years.
Yeah. It's happened, actually. Has it? No. It's in how many days?
It's in 2 weeks.
Oh, my God.
It's in 2 weeks. It's in 2 weeks. There you go.
Anyway, for everybody that lost somebody, this is obviously going to be triggering for you. Maybe we'll put a trigger warning, or if you were there at the mall. But we're glad that you're still with us today. And for the people that we lost, we're just so sorry. That was completely unnecessary. But thank you. Thank you for what you did. I thought that was so incredible.
And thank you. It's the first time I've been interviewed about it. Can you imagine? Since there were a few interviews.
Since 2014.
There are a few interviews leading up to it. We even did a BBC interview afterwards. But it really doesn't come up in interviews anymore. The legacy of that show was very beautiful.
Yeah.
We had a few people show up, and we did it on a very low budget. We were making our money from the takings. We did it at the Michael Joseph Center, which was free. Michael Joseph Center is still a free performance space. It's just very hard to get in now.
Yeah.
But at the end of the show, as a bit of a memorial, we lit candles. We handed out flowers and we lit candles on both shows. And it's very funny. You realize that when you have a candlelight vigil, if you've ever been in one, you realize that the wax from the candle is burning your hands.
Yes.
So people improvise little candle holders, where they'll take a piece of paper and tear a hole in the middle, and the wax will fall on that. So
tissue paper or whatever you have available.
Tissue paper, that kind of thing. So I thought about it and I was like, hey, I know a friend who likes to do craftsmanship. And she was in the mall when it happened. She was in the mall with her sister. There is an Engage talk about it, if you want to find it.
Oh, I think I've watched this.
Yeah, Shaz Nderito and her sister Aggie. They talk about it. And Shaz, was a good friend of mine, a dear friend of mine. An amazing interior designer. She really likes to work with her hands, comes up with creative solutions, to make things look good. She wanted to be involved, but she could not come for the show for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And I think to this day, she still never had the strength to visit the mall.
No way.
Oh, no.
I understand that, though.
It was, in her account of the things that happened in there, it's scary.
Yeah.
So she made the little candle holders, and they're in the shape of angels. Aww. And she put printed a poem about those that we lost being the angels watching over us, or something of that sort. And we lit the candles at the end, and there was a lot of tears and a lot of commiseration. But I remember the one thing that there was in huge supply was gratitude. It was the beauty of this very difficult work that we were putting together.
Yeah.
I had some amazing actors reading out these things. Brian Ogola, who'd end up on Lusala.
Oh.
Nkamze Matela, Mombi Kaigwa, Alea, Kasam, Akigai, I'm forgetting, Nick Ndeda. If I've forgotten anyone, I apologize. But our show and the writers were many, including Wamboi Kolimo.
Oh.
And by virtue of the fact that she'd written something and that Bob was there, Bob came and watched our show.
Yo, nice.
And I took pictures with him afterwards, and he was really, really grateful. The writers were grateful. We had writing from a lot of stuff. It was beautiful. Very, very beautiful. I realized again the power of art for healing.
Yeah, in that moment.
Yeah, and the catharsis that we all felt afterwards when we held flowers and lit candles. A few weeks later, I met one of the writers who couldn't come for the show. And at one point, we were just staring at each other and tearing up because she said, I never thought when I was writing this very thoughtful, that I was just writing from a place of pain.
Yeah.
She was at the supermarket the next day, and someone was at a counter and just leaned on the counter and started crying. And people came and surrounded her and quietly just let her cry. We really showed up as human beings. If you went to donate blood at Uhuru Park, and there was a blood bank, a blood in at Uhuru Park, they ran over and above all the blood that they could ever need for the people who were in hospital. And so many volunteers showed up to make sure that everyone who came to donate blood was fed.
Yeah.
People came and donated so much food. It became like a production line of donations. There was a line of pickups and trucks and little small cars.
There was even the tea ladies who were feeding the police at the mall because it went on for so much longer than it should have. Yeah.
A lot of these people went to the cordoned off area and would leave food there for the forces.
Yeah.
I remember a civilian just removing a kasufuria with foil from her car to feed us, the volunteers.
Yeah.
Everyone showed up in such beautiful ways. I was like, we can't let this moment in history just pass. Let me try and address it in my own tiny little way by bringing some actors together, bringing some writers together, looking for these works, and having my good friend Wairimo Moora produce it with my other friend Shiko. And we put on stories from them all.
No, it was amazing. I found out about it. Oh my gosh, I actually don't know how I found out about Stories of the Mall.
That's very interesting.
While I was researching you again, obviously for this, I saw it and I was like, oh, I'm so happy that I get to say thank you for this because I thought it was so cool.
Oh, wow.
And I want to shout out Samantha Ware, who's put this together, because I think we were in the UK, her together with Sil and a bunch of other people who are part of the African Caribbean Society at London School of Economics, who was also part of the larger University of London. A bunch of us Kenyans met and had a vigil in one of the parks, and we lit candles and we had the Kenyan flag and people like just talked, and like it was just weird. We went home, we felt so disconnected from what was happening, and like you're saying, there were so many stories. There was truth like on social media, but then fake news, I think, has been a thing from back then. So from the first 24 hours, you weren't sure if what you were reading was what was actually happening or wasn't.
Oh, yeah.
And then I think the most horrible thing, which you talked about, I think on your website or on your blog, was even just how we treat Black bodies and white bodies when it comes to violence. And how the media thinks it's okay.
You read that article?
Yeah. And how the media thinks it's okay for us to show, dead Black bodies or mutilated Black bodies, and how we never see mutilated white bodies. And you guys started war. The Vikings, dude, they taught us everything we know about fighting. Yet, there's this protection.
Yeah.
And even for us as Black people in our own media houses, I don't even think people clock that you as a Black person don't treat yourself as a full human, because you will record that and you will publish it. You will take that picture and you'll publish it. And if you were in a white country, you wouldn't publish. You know what I mean? So it's like...
You didn't take out your phone to record.
Exactly. Yeah. Or even if you record, you delete or you'd never share.
Or you never share it.
Yeah. Because I think there's a part of recording now that we record before we even think. We just pull out our phones and record stuff. But thank you for doing that. And just thanks for being you. And we're not going to get a chance to talk about everything else, but we are going to get Mugambi again. I'm going to get him on my own platform. Skika's going to bring him back. This has to be done.
Sure.
But I spoke to somebody about Every Brilliant Thing, and we can't break it down, but I want to give you the message that I got from that person, which is they sent me a voice note and they said, Every Brilliant Thing is a story about mental health and grieving and picking out the little things that make you happy. And what they said was that you would never be able to tell watching Mugambi do it that it's not his story. And I thought that was a huge compliment for you as an actor, so I wanted to let you know.
Thank you.
And they said, tell him I say a big hello and that I love him so much. Your question.
Sure.
I had told myself that I'm going to ask you one of the others, but you've answered it, kind of. So I want you to ask a question to another artist that's going to be on this platform.
Okay.
What would you want to know? No, I'm not going to tell you. Maybe they're a dancer. Maybe they're a painter. Maybe they're a videographer.
Oh.
But what would you want them to know? What you know is that they're all African. Most of them are Kenyan.
Okay.
So what would you want to know?
So I don't know their art form. I don't know who they are.
Nope.
But I'm asking them a question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. To the person who's... I want to know how they're doing. I want to know how they're doing. And this is what I mean by that question. Post 2020, everything changed. Trying to find that artist within. I'm not saying they're not there. They're just someone different. I have to get to know them.
Right.
They have to get to know me. We have to get to know each other. And that has been a very difficult process.
Yeah.
I'm only just now starting to feel like I can create again, but I'm fascinated by the people who are doing it. I want to know how they're doing and how they did it. So when I'm like, how are you doing? Is like,
yes.
How are you doing? But also how are you doing it?
Yes.
How do you manage to do it?
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's the question.
Okay.
I can't wait to hear the answer.
I think it's going to be great. Now, I want you to close your eyes as we finish. And I want you to picture the film and theater industry in Kenya 20 years from now. So we're in 2043. What does it look like to Mugambi?
Under the right stewards who started doing their work now, the film and theater scene in 2043 is a place of abundance. There is space for everyone, for every ethnic group, for every social standing, for whatever gender you identify as, whatever sexuality, whatever you consider art to be, there's space for you. And there's not just the space for you to perform it, there's a space for the reception of it. Even if it's one-on-one, I believe that technology would have taken us to that point where you could put on a performance for one person and that person could be your audience henceforth.
Yeah.
Who knows? I picture that we are going to be in a place where we're making statements and we're speaking for the world. We're speaking in a voice that the world listens to. We're not viral. It's not Makmende. Look at what came out of Kenya, because nothing ever hardly comes out of Kenya. It's not that anymore. It's look at what the Kenyans have to say.
Right.
And Kenyans and Africa as a whole have finally been given their place. We've taken it. We haven't been given, we've taken it.
Yeah, most of the time you do have to.
Yeah, we took it. And the artistic work of African work that's going around the world, that's starting now, will now be global, will now be sensational around the world. And I honestly believe in my heart of hearts that the message that we're going to be spreading then will be one that heals the world.
Amen.
In every way that the world needs to be healed, whether it's the environment, whether it's our hearts and souls, whether it's how we relate with each other, whether it's how we reconcile with those that oppressed us, whether it's reconciling with ourselves, whether it's saying the truth about what our family situations are like, and whether it's speaking the truth about how difficult the world is and how the difficulty in the world comes down to a very few specific individuals.
Yes.
Very few of whom are us,
if
any.
Yeah.
The art will be talking about that. And it'll be colorful and joyful. And let people never forget a Westgate, but let them forget a world where terror exists on that level.
I want that to be sooner. Can that be 2033 instead of 2043? Thank you so much for that.
I have hope. All of this to say is that I have hope.
Yeah.
I think I've always said this. I think artistry will save us all. And if people stop fighting the artists and really just start listening to them and enable them to have food on their tables and clothes on their backs and enables them to take their kids to good schools.
So that they can do the work.
So they can do the work and enables them to not fall sick and have that be a death sentence.
Yeah.
We're not asking for much.
That's true.
We really just want to entertain.
Yeah.
You want to entertain, I'm sure.
Yes.
And that's really it. I'd be happy entertaining. It's just capitalism still has to do the thing.
Yes.
If you protect us from that,
then everything else will be fine. So or you include us in it in the sense of it's possible to be paid well.
Yeah.
Then we move.
Include us even in building capitalism itself and be like, nah, this
is not how this is going to work.
Let's do it this way.
Yeah. On many other episodes, there's people who've broken down how we should do royalties and residuals better. And they even have some ideas. So if you're listening to this as your first episode, circle back. And you're going to hear a lot more magic.
For sure.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
This has been incredible. Guys, if you don't believe us, imagine there was more. Imagine there was more, a lot more. But we've decided that it's probably time for you to go do something else in your day that you had planned to do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we need to release you.
Yeah.
But a huge, huge thank you to Mugambi coming and giving us his time, and to Nthiga Productions that has made all this possible. And if you are an artist and you are interested to know how you can get support, how you can maybe even get mentored by Mugambi, you head on over to skikaafrica.com. And this beautiful furniture that we have been on is from Savannah Space. So thank you, Sherry, for sharing this with us. And if you like what you're seeing, head on over to Lavington Mall, Pale Karibu na Kengeles, and you will see her store and be able to do some shopping. Otherwise, we will see you on the next episode. I am Susan Joroge Awori, your host. Ciao, ciao.